Good evening. My name is Mark Jacobson. It's Thursday, March 17th. This is my truck, 1977 Silverado. Brand new 406, small block, aluminum heads, top of the line premium engine. I chose to buy a lot of NAPA parts for it when I put it in. Battery, fuel pump, water pump, master cylinder, on and on and on. A lot of good parts. Belts, hoses, everything came from your store here in Phoenix. This is a small block Chevy fuel pump. Same one that goes on my truck. There's probably millions of them still on the road today. This is from AutoZone. Just before the engine started to go south, that pump started to leak and I took it off. It was a lifetime AutoZone pump. I decided to go ahead and buy a NAPA. Stopped at the NAPA store the next day, picked up a pump, put it on, everything seemed to be fine. A few weeks later, I started having idling problems. It was loading up and dying. I came home one evening, I grabbed my fuel pressure gauge, put it on. I was sitting at 8.5 pounds. That's not even close. 5 pounds to 5.5 pounds is spec for a quadrijet. Any book will tell you that. I took the pump off. I'm fully disabled also, let me throw that in there. Anything I do is not based on cost or time, it's based on how much is it going to hurt. Hanging over the hood, core support, changing a fuel pump, hurts. But I do it, I have to. I took it off, I cruised up there on my scooter, which I'm sitting on. I exchanged it, explained to him what was going on. I got another one. I came home. I put it on. I was in a hurry. I drove it. Seemed fine for a day or two. Started acting a little strange. And then it started loading up again. I decided to go into the carburetor just to check. Put a new float in it. A brass float from NAPA, of course. A kit from NAPA, of course. And it made no difference. At that point, why would I even consider a fuel pump? Brand new. I checked it. 8.75 pounds idling. I then teed in my pressure gauge and let it idle. And I watched it. I videotaped it. I have it on YouTube. Looking down the carburetor at the fuel dumping out of the nozzles. And the gauge running between 7 and almost 9 pounds while it's dumping fuel. And then the gauge starts to oscillate back and forth between 6 and 10. And the truck kind of sort of straightens out. Anyway, it was a Sunday, I believe. I was somewhat desperate to get my truck going. I went to O'Reilly. I called them ahead of time. They had a Mr. Gasket pressure regulator in stock. Out the door with tax, 38 bucks. I ran up and I bought it. I put it in. I started it up. I set it to 5 pounds. I videoed everything. That's on YouTube also. And it ran perfectly fine. No more flooding, no more stalling, no more loading up. It has been perfect ever since. That's been probably close to 2 weeks. I went back up to the NAPA store just to, I went to get something, and I just mentioned the problem I had and the fact that I had to buy a regulator, and I was told that your store sells Mr. Gasket fuel pressure regulators too. Apparently this is a problem. I said, well, you know, it's frustrating to spend big money on 2 fuel pumps from NAPA only to have to spend $38 more to make the last one work. It was recommended that I contact the corporate office downtown on West Thomas. Been there many times. I've been a mechanic off and on for a number of years. I was a mechanic for 17 years straight back in the day. Built a lot of engines too. This is my last one probably at my age. I contacted the main office downtown. It was about 5 minutes till 5. I was late. I was pressed. I left a message for the area supervisor. His name is Edward Head. To please call me. I want to talk to him about a fuel pump problem. Hung up the phone. About 10 minutes later, the phone rang. It was somebody from NAPA, but it was not Mr. Head. I wish I would have written down his name. He was condescending. He thought my story was funny. He laughed about it, and then told me he would get a hold of the counter person, who I'm not even going to mention. He's a great guy. I've known him for a long time. And have him try and find the first pump and send it in to have one of his, as he put it, super technical whiz-bang guys check it out. And then he laughed, ha ha ha. I hung up the phone with no confidence in that moron whatsoever. A couple days went by. I decided to run up to NAPA to pick up some lacquer thinner, and it was off ad, so I waited. I mentioned to my counter guy that I deal with all the time what had happened, and I asked if the guy called him. He said, absolutely not. I haven't heard a word. That pump's been gone for a long time. I said, could you give me the number again? He did. I called Mr. Edward Head, who is the supervisor over the, I don't know what his technical term is. He's the main guy in Arizona, I guess. I got through to him finally, explained the situation. He said, wow, that's not good. 8 3/4, 8.5 pounds. Spec is like, what, 5 pounds for a quadrajet? Hit it right on the head. He said, how can I help you? And I said, well, given the fact that I've got 2 of your high dollar, I was hoping, decent pumps, I'm on the second one, still on my truck with a pressure regulator from O'Reilly. Might be nice if you'd offer to compensate me for having to buy a pressure regulator to make your defective pump work. He said, I'd be more than happy to do that. That's more than fair. He said, that is definitely not right. And I said, well, it's what really bothers me is the fact that they're getting through one after another, apparently, with defective pressure relief valves in them. Anyway, he told me to get the paperwork together, call him when I had a time to run up to the store, and he'd call ahead, make sure that everything was fine. They were going to give me my money back. That's an important statement. My money back for the pressure regulator, $38. This past Monday, I believe it was, I got all the paperwork together, the proof of purchase from O'Reilly. Part number, same as yours, 9710, Mr. Gasket. Loaded everything up. Here's all my NAPA paperwork. First pump, second pump, receipt, everything went up there. I was told to talk to the manager named Clayton, I believe was his name. He would take care of it. Great. Pull in, went inside. I take that back. I need to step back just a moment. When I got done talking to Mr. Head, personally, I hung up to leave, and he called me right back. Forgot one of the most important parts. He said, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, we're not going to give you your money back. We're going to give you a gift card. Well, I was in a big hurry to make an appointment on my way up to NAPA. I had to be somewhere. I was almost late. I hung up the phone, got in the truck, and left. I got to NAPA, went inside. I'd had time to think about this gift card thing. This is so frustrating and aggravating. I went in. Clayton was on the phone. He asked if he could help me when he got done. I said, yeah, my name is Mark Jacobson. Edward Head, I assume, has called you. Yes, I'm going to give you your gift card. I said, well, I'd like to just share a few thoughts with you about this gift card. This gift card for $38, which I have. He said, I'll get it right ready for you. I said, let me just say something, and I'd like you to listen to me. I said, when I bought the pressure regulator, I didn't pay for it with blue and yellow money. I paid for it with my debit card that my wife and I use for food, utilities, medical bills, prescriptions, whatever. It was backed with green money, not make-believe money from NAPA. He said, well, apparently loss prevention has decided. I said, just stop right there. I don't care what loss prevention says. Mr. Edward Head told me I would get my money back. And then, oops, all of a sudden, like a minute and a half later, he calls me and says, oh no, I'm sorry, you're going to get a gift card. Now, maybe he didn't just blatantly lie to me, Maybe he got a memo in between the time I hung up and got out of my chair, and he called me back. I said, I don't want a gift card. And I told him, I said, I didn't pay for that regulator with plastic money from NAPA. I paid for it with my debit card that's backed with green money. And I said, this is what's wrong with corporate America. They want our money. You want my money bad enough. You will lie to me. Maybe I'm just mistaken. Pardon me. Don't mean to offend anybody. You want your money one way or another. And you want me to come back into your store with this piece of plastic and buy more, as I told the man at the counter, more junk that probably doesn't work right? You've got to be kidding. You know what he did? He laughed. He chuckled to himself. That pisses me off just as bad as Mr. Head telling me you will get your money back and then saying, oops, I'm sorry, you're going to get blue and gold money. It's only good here. Like I want to buy overpriced crap that's no better than AutoZone or O'Reilly or Pep Boys. At least when I go there, I expect that I'm not getting top-of-the-line merchandise. Your fuel pumps, whoever makes them, used to be Airtex. I've been told they're out of business. They're horrible. They're horrible. Your fan clutches are horrible. That's a totally different story. This fuel pump fiasco is just infuriating to me. It's still on my truck. Your fuel pump. The only way it's working properly is with a Mr. Gasket pressure regulator that I bought from O'Reilly that your store sells. Clayton was just so kind and so courteous. He wrote down a phone number for me. He said, here, call this man. He knows all about quadrajet carburetors and fuel pumps. Clayton must be like, what, 12? Maybe 20, I don't know. Very insulting. I rebuilt hundreds of quadrajets in my day. I'm sure this man's wonderful. But he said this man has been collecting data on fuel pumps from us and everybody else, and he's come up with a list of fuel pumps that actually work. And some of our part numbers may work for you. That's two people in your company that have admitted that your fuel pumps don't work very well. At best, they're horrible. And they're going to ruin some people's engines with fuel dilution in the oil, or stalling them out in the middle of an intersection, and it won't start because it's dumping gas. I kept my mouth shut because it's not his fault. It's not anybody's fault in the store. Mr. Head needs a different job. NAPA needs better suppliers and better quality control. And as far as I'm concerned, I will never step foot in another NAPA store to spin this. I'm going to probably put it on eBay and sell it to anybody that'll give me some money for it. To me, it's worthless because I'm not going back into your store. $38 thrown away. Maybe somebody will give me $20 for it. That's what your merchandise appears to be worth. No better than AutoZone, O'Reilly, or Pep Boys. That truck is covered in NAPA parts. The engine, belts, hoses, battery, fuel pump, still, water pump, master cylinder. Power steering box, that was $400. Power steering pump, power steering hoses. All my gaskets. That's a $4,800 engine sitting in there with a junk fuel pump. And it hurts too much right now to get down in there and change it out. And then I got to take that back to your store and take back the pressure regulator and then call this guy across town and see what he says will work. Your company is pathetic. It's the new corporate crap. I showed up. Everything Mr. Head asked me to bring. Every receipt, proof, videos, everything. And I get a gift card. You want my money that bad. You're not going to get it. Not another dime. This is going on YouTube. Everybody I know is going to get a copy of it. It's going to your corporate office. It's going to your store. I may even send it to the news. I don't know. I'm 63. Life is difficult. Money comes hard. Your company is ridiculous. Your return policy with gift cards, it's typical of greed. You don't care about your consumer. You want to make a buck. So your stock looks good. I don't know. I don't care. I'm done with your company. Please don't call me. Don't offer me money. I don't want a damn thing from your company. Nothing. This car just going away. I'll be glad, fortunately, when Advance Auto opens up just around the corner from my house. They're moving their distribution center. Maybe they will sell a good part. Maybe they will know how to treat people better than NAPA does. Go fund your NASCAR. Go fund whatever it is with all of your money that you're making by ripping people off, forcing them to come back into your store to buy more crap that probably is no better than they can buy for 20 or 30% cheaper down the street. It's pathetic, and you should be ashamed of yourself as an automobile company.